Are you thinking about making a move to Kansas City and don't even know where to begin? Hi, I'm Rach the Realtor, a real estate agent and Kansas City local, licensed on both sides of the state line. And if you're wondering what that even means, oh, you're in the right place. Today we're talking about 4 things you absolutely must know if you're thinking about making a move to Kansas City. Let's jump in. As I alluded to there off the top, the geographical location of Kansas City is perplexing for some people that come here from out of town. The fatal mistake any performer can make when they come here is getting on stage before they sing their show and saying, "What's up, Kansas?" when they're actually in Missouri. And don't worry, like every celebrity does that. So if you do it for a little bit, you're gonna get some elbowing from the locals, but it'll be okay. Kansas City, the metro as a whole, sits on both sides of the state line, meaning Missouri and Kansas. This can be complicated if you're not used to navigating the area, and actually is really important to know, not only in just driving around town, but especially when you're picking where you're going to live. I've gone more in depth on this in some previous videos, so make sure you go check those out to get specific on what part of the metro you want to live in. But the high level is Kansas City, Missouri is kind of the headline here. Kansas City, Missouri is the city of Kansas City, is located in Missouri. That's where most of the most famous Kansas City things you think about are located, like the Chiefs and the Royals, the Union Station train station, the Liberty Memorial. Basically any Kansas City icon that you can think of is located in Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City, Kansas is a different city, a different municipality that's located on the Kansas side of the state line. And then to further complicate things, we have North Kansas City, which is yet another municipality. That one's located on the Missouri side, north of the river. Outside of those 3 cities, then we have all of the suburbs and the outlying areas. The Missouri side suburbs are kind of divided in half by the Northland, anything located north of the river, and then everything else, which is mostly located in Jackson County, Missouri. On the Kansas side of the state line, you have Johnson County, which kind of encompasses the southern suburbs. And then you have Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas area. And out there you have some famous shopping, the Kansas Speedway racetracks out there, things like that. So what's really funny about Kansas City is that our geography is kind of complicated if you're not used to it. And locals are super, super passionate about where they're from. Once you buy a house on the Kansas side, you are a Kansan, then and forevermore. So don't take it lightly when you make that decision. The second most important thing you need to know if you are thinking about moving to Kansas City is how to get around. What do you need to know about transportation? Well, cars are a huge deal here. Almost everyone has a car. It is really hard to get around the Kansas City metro area without a car. That's kind of the downside. We don't have great public transportation. There is a bus system that covers most of the metro, but the routes are pretty limited. It can be spotty service, and it definitely does not cover every nook and cranny of the city. There is a streetcar, which is a free public transportation service, but it only covers 2 miles right through the heart of downtown. However, they are working on expanding that and have dreams and aspirations of it becoming more of a light rail system that actually goes out into the suburbs. But for now, it's kind of just a fun way to get around a small part of the city. So yeah, you do have to have a car pretty much if you want to get around the Kansas City area. The good news is getting around in a car is pretty easy. It's pretty easy to navigate around the city. There's very rarely major traffic jams. Local Kansas Cityans, when I say we don't have a lot of traffic, grumble at me. But truly, if you've been in any major city and then driven in Kansas City, it's oh, this is no big deal. If you get slowed down by 5 or 10 minutes, it's a major inconvenience because you're not used to it. I will admit, I kind of have road rage when I get slowed down because I'm not used to it. And I drive all over the city all day, every day because my job is a real estate agent. So I'm literally driving from house to house to house all over the city. So I know a lot about the roads and you can get around pretty easily. I will say road condition is not always great because we have 4 seasons kind of to the extreme. There's some potholes. The roads kind of take a lot of wear and tear. So maybe not the best roads in the country, but there's a lot of them. We actually have the most highway miles per capita than any city in the country except for Dallas, Texas, which is kind of famous for their highways. So lots and lots of highway to drive on. You just need to hop in the car, pop on a podcast or an audiobook, and it's usually about, I mean, things are closer, but you can get from one end of the city to the other in about 45 minutes most days. So getting around Kansas City is going to be mostly by car. and it's going to be pretty easy to drive around. And then another major thing you need to know is that if you are flying, if that is your choice of transportation, the airport is located north of the city, and it's about 25 minutes from downtown Kansas City to the airport. But if you're in the southern suburbs, either on the Kansas or Missouri side, you're looking at upwards of a 45-minute, for some people even an hour commute to get to and from the airport. So that is something else to keep in mind. The third thing that you must know if you're thinking about moving to Kansas City is money talk. Is there a financial difference based on where you choose to live in the metro? The answer is kind of yes and no. I went deep on this topic in a different video, so make sure you go check that one out to get the nitty-gritty details on the cost of living in Kansas City. But high level, yeah, it kind of impacts your money where you live in Kansas City, but not majorly. So what I mean by that is the cost of living throughout the metro on average is roughly about the same. The things that can be different are real estate prices, the cost of homes, real estate taxes, property taxes, and income taxes. The good news is, on average, the Kansas City metro is typically more affordable to live in than most comparable cities throughout the country. And the even better news is there are parts of the city that are more affordable than other parts. So if you're paying attention to where you're choosing to rent or buy, you'll notice that some pockets of the city are really affordable and some pockets of the city are really, really affluent. The state line means two different governments making decisions, two different policies on taxes. So yes, that does make a difference. On average, the Missouri side tends to have lower property taxes when I'm talking about the counties that comprise the Kansas City metro area. But in exchange for that, a lot of times the Missouri side counties have higher sales taxes. So it kind of ends up being a wash. I always tell my clients when they're comparing, should I buy on the Kansas side or the Missouri side? The difference in taxes could be something like $500 a year, $1,000 a year. It's not really enough to move the needle dramatically when you're looking at a mortgage payment. But if your budget is really tight and you're really wanting to cut pennies, then definitely pay attention to the property taxes because they can be substantially different. And then you could, in theory, just drive to the other side of the state line. That's better for you when it comes to sales tax for your shopping. Another interesting tidbit about Kansas City is people that work in Kansas City, Missouri pay an additional 1% income tax on the business that they conduct in the city. So even me as a real estate agent, if I sell a house in Kansas City, Missouri, I pay that extra 1% of sales tax on that house that I wouldn't have if it had been in one of the suburbs. The fourth and most fun thing you need to know if you are thinking about moving to Kansas City is lifestyle. So we talked about boring money stuff in the last one, but where are you going to go blow your money when you're trying to have fun? That is what this one's all about. Where to eat and what to do in Kansas City. Kansas City actually has a ton to offer. Sometimes people might think it would be a kind of boring place to live because it is a smaller city just kind of in the middle of the country, but it has a lot going on. I think because we don't have beaches or mountains, people have to make their own fun and they do a great job at it. There is tons of local culture here, meaning arts, all kinds of arts, music, like spray paint murals. We have a great art museum, art festivals in the spring and fall, and even in the summer. There's an art festival about every weekend. If you just look around the metro, you can find one to go check out, see local artists, craft makers, check out vendors, and enjoy live music at a lot of those as well. We have a Starlight Theater, an outdoor theater where you can catch musical productions. We have the Kaufman Center, that's a little bit more buttoned up musical productions like orchestra, opera, symphony, things like that. We have in the Crossroads Arts Districts, we have First Fridays, which is local artists, and you can walk through and go through all the art galleries in the Crossroads Arts Districts for free on First Fridays. So there is a lot to do. Beyond that, we have museums, we have a zoo, we have amusement parks, tons of stuff to do for kids, lots of lakes in the area, and of course, our local sports teams to enjoy going out and supporting them. Currently, the Kansas City Current, the women's professional soccer team, is building a stadium. It is the first stadium dedicated to a professional women's soccer team in the world. And the best part is they've already sold out of season tickets. So that just tells you how dedicated Kansas Cityans are to supporting their local activities, their local athletes, and artists as well, and getting out and involved in the community. If you're wondering where to eat in Kansas City, that is another area that I think KC excels in and people don't realize it. Of course, everyone knows about Kansas City barbecue. I've made a video about that, so be sure to go check it out to find out everything you need to know about Kansas City barbecue. But our food scene goes way beyond that. Just about every international cuisine you could ever dream of is showcased here in Kansas City. Plus, we have tons of mom and pop type of small business restaurants, coffee shops, breweries, tons to eat, drink, and enjoy all around Kansas City. I have all of this, everything you need to know about moving to Kansas City, summed up in a PDF guide that I send to anyone that's thinking about moving here. So if you want to get a copy of that, comment that you want one, send me a message, reach out, and we'll get you connected with everything that you need to know about moving to Kansas City. If you're thinking about making that move, don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. I'm Rach the Realtor, licensed agent on both the Missouri and Kansas side, and I will get you right where you need to be to start your new life here in KC. See you next time.